and see the value of your final years. Old age is a growing time. It's not a stagnant time. So if the overall question is concerning my willingness to be open to the psychedelic experience, there's a lot of build up to that. And the build up is really important, because I come from, at 85, I come from a period in history where, I was raising kids during the war on drugs, how horrible and frightening and scary they all are. And of course, the worst of all was the LSD and the psychedelics. So that's what I'm coming from. So when you reach this age, you're aware that you're closer to the end than you are the beginning of your life. In fact, you're very, very close to the end of your life when you hit your 80s. And in my 80s, it became pretty clear that a big part of my identity was wrapped up in being a caregiver for my partner. And the older I get, the more I'm looking inward. And that my area of growth is inward now. It's not so obvious as the outward roles that were growth and production and doing and making. And most of it's almost invisible, the growth that's happening now, particularly as a woman, the much more quickly than it happens to men. I became unimportant. I became invisible. I became not listened to, not seen as an important thinker anymore. And I realized that, in fact, I was still growing a lot internally, though it wasn't visible. And I started to feel productive and that involved starting meditation and started reading spiritually. And then I started tuning into what you in particular had been saying all along. The effect of psychedelics is really kind of an internal journey of discovery. And I thought, that's what I want to do for the rest of my life, is to continue to grow that direction. Because physically, in every which way, I'm starting to slow down. But I'm still growing, and that growing is internal and kind of invisible, but very almost physical. I feel it. I think that's what led me to say, okay, maybe a way to jumpstart or go further with that internal growth is to try gently some of the psychedelics and see if they add to what I'm seeing as an important stage of my life, my internal spiritual development. I think that's probably the most important purpose of old age, is that internal growth.
How did you get beyond the concept that they would scramble your brains and you would go crazy?
Well, I mean, I got beyond a lot of concepts that I had bought and realized they were nonsense, including a lot of religious dogma. And so I became more discerning in realizing so much of what we've been told around, particularly because I had done some reading and I listened to things you told me about really positive experiences, and I didn't see any harm or damage or breakdown. In fact, I saw only growth in you and any kind of, I mean, I just kept, obviously what I had been told was nonsense. And any thinking person, and I hope I'm a thinking person, comes to those conclusions because the evidence is there that it's not horrible, harmful, scary stuff, that it can be very growthful, useful. My very first experience with any kind of psychedelics was with the MDMA, but the context for me where I was able to try it was so spectacular. I mean, my son, who I love dearly and who I know I could trust my life to, and I know that you had done all kinds of reading and learning, and so to have my son as the person who's saying, okay, I think you can try this, and I'll be with you, and I'll guide you, and I'll stay with you. So I went into it with very little fear. The most I can say about the MDMA experience, and I can compare it now to psilocybin, which I've done later, the MDA experience is so much heart, so much feeling. I know, and I've talked about it, and I have said that my childhood was not a happy childhood. It was one of neglect. But what I realized as I went through this MDMA experience was, even though I was neglected, I was a good little girl. And I'd been living for 80 years with some kind of belief that I was a bad little girl. And that I had to spend the rest of my life trying to be good because I'd been so bad or something. And the MDA very gently, very lovingly, very softly, very beautifully told me I was a good, lovely little girl, which gave me a new kind of internal calm that I don't think I'd experienced before. And that calmness is still with me. And each time it just, all I got to do is breathe deeply and I can go to that calm space. It's a loving, calm space. And that's where I, very first time I ever felt it. And it stayed with me.
Okay. Can you, outline how the difference between, you've had lots of talk therapy, you've done lots of many different types of therapy, but the difference between the subjective experience of feeling it and the theoretical experience of understanding it?
Just this year, I did the psilocybin, and it really crystallized for me the difference between talk therapy, which I had done a lot. I also had done some bioenergetics, which is working with the body to bring out hidden traumas. So I'd done a lot of that, and I thought they were successful. What I came to realize is that, and a lot of that work, of course, was focused on the little girl. I came to realize that what I had done in talk therapy is I'd taken that little girl and examined her and looked at her, and somehow I just, with therapy, I was able to put her in a nice little box, wrap it up with ribbon, and there she was, looked after in a box with ribbon on it. In the experience of the MDMA, and now I can add to that the psilocybin, but that's separate. But in that experience, I can feel that little girl. She's being loved for the first time in her life. The difference is understanding what happened to her, acknowledging, knowing that it was real. She really, truly was not loved. Put her in a box where she's safe, wrap her up with ribbon, and leave her be. And these experiences with took her out of the box and brought her home. Yeah, she's no longer stuck away in a box. That's the only way I can articulate the difference between what I learned through therapy and what I feel through these experiences. First of all is feeling, and out of feeling comes learning. The other is all learning, no feeling.
Yeah, that's interesting. I like a mystical experience.
Yeah, mystical or spiritual growth. It's also a tangible connection to forever and ever, and everything connected. Again, you run out of language.
Wonder, maybe we're not going to overcome climate collapse. Maybe we're not going to overcome nuclear holocaust, which the big empires are playing with as we speak. How has this experience been for you in dealing with those greater macro issues?
I went into those experiences with a really absolute, concrete, definite collapse aware. I'm aware that our world as we know it is collapsing and is beyond repair, if that's the right word. It's collapsing. Our environment, our social, our economic, is collapsing. And there's part of me that's really, 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 really angry at the male energy that is destroying our world. And it's too late. It's too late. And I'm aware of that. So given that knowledge, again, it's in the context of being 85. And knowing that I'm going to witness I'm already witnessing, but the real horror of starvation or nuclear horror or fires and storms, and that is coming, is here, but it's going to get bigger. I'm not going to see the worst of that because not because I'm 85. But it makes me, with that awareness, knowing about the collapsing around me. I mean, I used to always feel I was working towards a better world for women. Now, what I want to know, what I'm needing to have a sense of passing on to future generations who are actually, or maybe it's only one generation, what do I know, who's actually going to face the worst of it. And for me, the future generation is my grandchildren. What can I give them that will make it possible or strengthen, or just what can I give them to have when they go through what they're going to go through? What can I give them when they're going to face the crises? And that came really clear to me in the last MDMA. What makes it possible or better, or I'm more able, or I feel okay about going into the crises in my life, is this sense of internal calm that's come from MDMA. Psilocybin's there too. I got to sort where that is. But I have a sense of calm. I can, whatever the crises are coming between Elaine and I, what our lives, Elaine's health, what am I, I have an internal calm, which gives me an internal strength. And I want to know, how can I give that to my grandchildren? Because they're going to face way more crises than me. And in the middle of the MDMA, the last one, I was so full of love. I could just beyond. I was just woo. I was just and Sky was there, and I was able to reach for her and just and hold her and tell her that no matter where she goes, and I'll be gone, where she'll always have this love that I'm giving her. And she was able to say to me, I know, Grandma, I know, I feel you. And that was so reassuring for me. So that's what I can give to future generations and you, and it's all we can give to each other to go through whatever we're going to go through during this collapse, because then you'll have an internal calm that'll, I don't know if you're going to find any kind of solutions in small communities, in new ways of living with the earth. I don't know. But that love is there if we can find a way to help people tune into it. Yeah, not everybody can do MDMA, not everybody can do such, but maybe people around me will feel my loving, and then people around them will feel their loving, and it'll just keep growing. And that's all we can give to the future.
Well, that's pretty
It's
big.
big, but it doesn't sound like much in words, but it's really big. You'll face anything that comes if you're in touch with that loving flow. Wow, that sounds too big, doesn't it? But that's how it feels. And I know since then, I know Sky's feeling me. I know it. When I talk about these things, they get bigger and bigger. On a daily basis, they're just calm and lovely and nice feeling. And I still get upset and I still get angry and all those things. But that inner calm core of love it's always there for it's in the plants. And the plants give it to us and we give it to them.
How would your life be different if you hadn't had these experiences of plant medicine, or if you hadn't had these new awarenesses?
Yeah, I never thought about that before. That's a horrible thought. I think I'd be burnt out. I'd be tired. I'd be the worst caregiver. I don't know. Yeah, ooh, where would I be? I always was loving. It's just a new dimension. Now that loving is nourishing me, where it wasn't nourishing me before. It was all output, no input. Now it's nourishing me. And I think I would have run out of it and dried up and died.
Okay. Do you have anything to say to the greater power structures that would like to make these things illegal and keep them illegal and keep them out of the hands of as many people as possible?
I think it's too late to talk to the power structures. They're not open to anything. They got so much invested in the capitalistic way of running this world. No, I wouldn't. I mean, if I'm in the room with, suppose I was in the room with. No, it's too late. Maybe there's hope for some. If more and more and more of us can be just messengers of love. Maybe it'd make a difference. I don't know. But it's the way that's the way I'm going to finish my days.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
And it's a great way to finish your days. Oh my gosh. It's a great way.
Right. Good. Good. Do you have anything to say to the older women's group and Deep Adaptation that
Oh wow, they are such amazing women. They're all they're all working at ways of building loving communities, of showing non-judgmental acceptance and of each other, and what to say. This is one of the best ways I know of going through collapse. Is what my new awareness is, and I think they're all touching on it to one degree or another. That this is what will take us through collapse with the least damage to our souls.
mm-hmm.
Collapse is coming, but there's ways of going through it that are better than other ways, I guess.
Mm. And again, I think you're, when we say set and setting, I mean, you're also the right person to be open to feel these things. There's lots of people that can go through these experiences and still have a lot of difficulty integrating it and getting strength from it.
I know, and don't forget, you have to take some credit for this, but it also is circumstance. But not many mothers have a son who, like, our roles change, and I know I still do some teaching, but our roles have changed, and you're teacher and I'm pupil, and that's pretty spectacular. A lot of parents aren't able to make that shift, so to seeing their children as their teachers. And anyway,
I think
it's pretty special.
I think that's very subject specific too. You're still my teacher in many, many subjects. It just depends what we're
But
looking
not
at.
in this. You're definitely my leader. You're
On
the
this,
one that led me through each of well, how many experiences have I had now? 4. And you, maybe the lead's the wrong word, but you were the guide. You knew when to enter my journey, when to stay out of it, when to put on the perfect music, when to touch me, when to take me to what I guess is the next level of the journey, or that you caused those things to happen. They didn't all just happen. Like, you definitely guided me through, and that takes an incredible amount of. Once I just gave myself over to you, you just took me each time where I needed to go.
okay. Well, thank you. It made my life complete as well. So, what can I say?
And
I love
also,
you,
I
Mom.
guess I want to add,
Oh yeah.
it isn't something like I'm not longing to do it again tomorrow or next week, or it's yeah, it's just because when it happens, and it's once in a while, and yeah.
Well, that makes it important and special. So.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I love you. Thanks for sharing.
Lord.
I don't know how much of this I can make public, but we'll share what we can with the group.
Yeah, it's pretty personal.
Mm.
Oh, I hope you can all be open. That's all. Just be open.
Okay.
And see the value of your final years. Old age is a growing time. It's not a stagnant time. Mm-hmm. It's a growing time. And I don't think we're taught that. We're always, we stop studying human development when people turn in their 60s. Well, come on, the development after that is, for me, is amazing. And it can be. Old age is a development stage. It's not a stagnant stage. Enough. Finish, kaput.
Okay, cool. I'm going to stop the recording.